How many of you have experienced poor mental health or potentially even mental illness? How many of you have come across someone in your community, a friend, a family, a work colleague, a team member that's experienced poor mental health or potentially mental illness? And how many of you have never ever experienced poor mental health or mental illness or come across someone that has? My name is Neil Shah. I'm from International Wellbeing Insights. We're a research and consultancy organization that was set up almost 20 years ago to provide advice, support, and guidance to both individuals and organizations that experience stress, poor mental health, and want to maximize well-being. We've had the opportunity to work with thousands of companies and millions of people across the world over the last 2 decades. We've got a good understanding of some of the challenges we face and the changing trends around well-being, particularly given some of the challenges we faced over the last 2 years. We're the commercial arm of a charitable nonprofit organization called the Stress Management Society that came into existence to create a happier, healthier, more resilient world. And that's what I'm really here to talk to you about today, is how can we work collectively to create a culture of well-being within our organization? And what if I was here to tell you there is a massive global health crisis, one that is impacting many, many people. In fact, 1 in 7 people will experience it in any given year. 1 in 4 will experience it over the course of their lifetime. We're actually losing lives to this issue. 8 million lives lost every single year. That's 14.3% of total global deaths. What is this health crisis that I'm talking about? The health crisis I'm here to explore with you is mental ill health, mental illness. It has a significant cost to our society. In the UK, it cost up to £45 billion in 2019. That was before the pandemic hit, and that's according to Deloitte. And that's going up by at least 16% every year. In the USA, depression cost the economy $51 billion every year. That's according to the American Journal of Psychiatry. In Europe, it's 600 billion euros was the direct cost, according to the OECD. That's 4% of GDP. We don't have clear data for MENA, Asia, and South America, but we know that deaths from mental health and substance abuse in China have more than doubled over the last 10 years. And the estimates are that by the year 2030, it will cost the global economy $6 trillion. That's according to the WEF. And just to give a scale of how big a number 6 trillion is, if we started counting right now from 1 to 6 trillion, how long would that take? Have a guess. A year? 2 years? 5 years? 20 years? 50 years? It would take a human being 190,200 years to count to 6 trillion. That's essentially the lifespan of humanity. That's how long it would take you to count to 6 trillion. Now, that's a big number, and this is a big issue. And that's why our conversation today is an extremely important one. In fact, an imperative one, if we are to create a happy, healthy, productive, and high-performing workforce. A workforce where health and safety sits at the very center of what we do, where we are celebrating our humanity, and we're supporting each other, even under extreme challenge, stress, and duress. Within Philips, what is the impact? In the Netherlands in 2020, 66,000 working days were lost due to poor mental health. That's rising year on year. That's 22 million euros in direct salary costs due to absence. If we take into account indirect costs, presenteeism, people support needs, missed opportunities, staff turnover, quality of work diminishing, that could go up to 88 million euros in indirect costs. This is a big issue. And this is why this discussion is something that should be at the forefront of all of our minds. So let's start with the obvious question. Who has mental health? Is it people that have got depression, people that have gone crazy, people that have got stress and pressure in their lives? Who has mental health? The answer is everyone. It's an interesting point. If I said to you who has physical health, you'd clearly say, well, of course, everybody does. When I offer you the term physical health, I'm not necessarily referring to someone that has illness or poor physical health. What I find fascinating, when you offer the term mental health, people automatically assume you're talking about poor mental health or someone that has mental illness. It starts with us having a stressful, challenging, overloading, pressureful experience. And that potentially will compromise your mental health. And once your mental health is compromised, we are much more susceptible to mental illness. So our job is to understand that pathway and be able to pick it up early enough to prevent anyone getting anywhere near the point where the mental health is compromised to the point it's likely to lead to mental illness. And our job is really to maximize well-being. What do we mean by well-being? If I asked you to define well-being for next year's dictionary, how would you define it? If you had to describe it to someone who has no concept of well-being, has never come across this notion before, what would we say? For us, well-being means quality of life, being happy, healthy, and fulfilled. Your basic needs are met. If we consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where the core needs of safety, security, shelter are covered. In fact, we may potentially have had the opportunity to progress to some of the higher needs, connection, contribution, to feel that sense of community. And that's really what our ultimate goal should be, for us to be able to obtain a sense of well-being so our mental health is positive and we are less likely to experience mental ill health and mental illness. So if mental ill health and mental illness is to become an unacceptable working condition, what do we need to better support well-being within our teams and across our Philips family? Because, one of the questions I ask in the various different sessions that we run with Philips colleagues around the world, to start with the question, what do we do as a business, as a global business, Philips, as a brand, what do we do? And what are the kind of typical responses do you think I'd get? Innovations in healthcare technology, improving people's lives, making the world a better place. And I find this fascinating because I don't agree with that. Philips doesn't do anything. Philips can't do anything because Philips is a logo and a brand and, a set of ideals. But it doesn't exist other than in our collective imagination. Who does healthcare technology? Who innovates? Who improves people's lives? The people that work at Philips. And this is why the people should sit at the very center of how we approach our organization, our business, our teams, and our regions. And that's why, for me, this is a very important conversation. That's why I've been working very closely with the health and safety team and the global wellbeing team to develop a program designed to equip you with the tools, skills, and confidence to be champions and ambassadors for wellbeing. And this program is open to anyone that wants to volunteer, where you can be that friendly ear, can be that first line of support to support your colleagues. It could be managers, it could be people from a variety of different backgrounds and levels of seniority that volunteer to come together to create the Philips that we all want to be a part of. So this is really where it starts with a route map. We approach well-being like a sat-nav would approach a travel journey. The first step is to diagnose, where are we right now as an individual, as a team, as an organization? Where do we want to get to? What is the ultimate destination? And only with those two pieces of information can the sat-nav work to give you that route map. And a good sat-nav will give you a dynamic route map which can adjust according to robots, traffic, delays, etc. And that's what I'm here to explore with you today. Where are you right now? Where would you like to be, and how can we get there? And this analogy is true for us as individuals, at a collective level. If you're engaged with someone that is going through a tough time, where are they right now? Where would they like to get to, and how can we support them in getting there? And actually, a large part of our opportunity to develop that route map may not fall on our shoulders. We may have structures, resources, policies, processes, procedures already existing within Philips that you can utilize. Our job is to understand how to support someone in the moment and signpost them to the most appropriate resources. Because mental health good practice comes down to essentially three key factors. The first one is to build and develop personal resilience of the individual. So we've got the capacity, skills, confidence, and tools to be able to recognize when we're compromised and know what action we can take to do something about it. Second element is peer support. Are we fighting for each other? Are we standing shoulder to shoulder and supporting each other even through extremely challenging circumstances? And the last one is manager support. Do we have managers, leaders, supervisors that are equipped to be able to support their line reports? And the kind of sitting over the top of that is our mental health champions program. So we have a goal of training up 5,000 mental health champions across the world to be the flag bearers, the champions of the wellbeing culture that we're working hard to create across Philips. And we're very excited that we've already got many cohorts that have been through the program. We've got people out in the field and essentially changing the culture of Philips, one conversation at a time. To underpin this wellbeing culture change program, we have a framework. It's what we call our 7 E's framework. It's the ingredients, the recipe required to create that culture of wellbeing. And this is true for many different organizations we work with, different industry sectors, different geographical locations, different size organizations. But every single one of them that has used this structure as a skeleton to be able to map out the wellbeing journey, obviously fleshing out in a way that is right for their industry and their organization. We found all of these organizations have achieved fantastic success. And that is what I would like to share with you today, our 7 E's framework to create a culture of well-being. The first E is engage. What are we doing to effectively, meaningfully, and regularly engage people in this culture of well-being? Engage them intellectually, so they understand what we're doing and why. Emotionally, so they're getting excited about it. And socially, so we're taking collective action to move forward in creating the organization that we all want to be a part of. Well-being is not done to you. It is not done for you. It's something that we all do together. The next one is exemplify. It was Mahatma Gandhi that said, be the change you want to see in the world. I say to you, be the change you want to see in Philips. We all have a responsibility to be that example, to exemplify the standards we wish to uphold. And I'm hopeful that you'll all consider what you can do in your capacity, whatever that may be, to start being the example of positive, meaningful change across the organization. And some of you may be inspired to step onto our Mental Health Champions program and understand how you can do that in a more robust fashion. Empathy. Now, we do live in a very diverse world. People come from different backgrounds, have different challenges, different experiences. An unnatural reaction when you come across someone that is going through a tough time is to feel sorry for them, to offer them pity. Oh, that must be so awful. I'm so sorry you're having that experience. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Just be strong. That's a great example of sympathy. Empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes, is understanding what it's like to be there. So one of the most important skills is empathy, is our ability to see the world through someone else's eyes. And as we do that, by asking questions, by listening, by being present, we're giving them the space to literally hold space for them to be able to share where they're at, and hopefully through that process, even have a better understanding for themselves as to what they're experiencing and potential solutions to those challenges. Next, we come to empower. If you look up the word power in the dictionary, when attached to a human being, what do you think it means? The ability to do or act. Many people, when they're experiencing stress, pressure, poor mental health, or potentially even mental illness, feel disempowered, powerless, or a victim to their circumstances. And regardless of what's going on, what challenges you're facing, what experiences you're having, there is always something that we can do, both collectively and individually. And this is really where I'm encouraging us all to think about, what can we do? How can we act in a way that will support us in navigating even the most turbulent of times? This is an opportunity to clarify our responsibilities, looking at how we can delegate, how we can support each other, adequate training and support. The 5th E in our 7 E's journey is that of encourage. Many of us are now working in a hybrid working environment. Some of us may still be working remotely. And that can often lead to us feeling disengaged, disconnected, and sometimes not valued. We may not have the time to pass on those positive comments and the feedback that will allow us to understand we're doing a good job, and also that we're a part of something. What are we doing, particularly in this new version of reality that we find ourselves in? What are we doing to ensure we've got platforms and structures to provide positive feedback, to support people, to let them know they're valued, to let them know that they're doing a good job? Next point is, how do we make this the new normal? What do we need to do to embed this into our culture? Because I've seen so many well-intended programs fall by the wayside because life gets in the way, business takes priority. And even though that we know it's the right thing to do or a good thing to do, it falls by the wayside. My job is to help you to understand how we can embed this into the culture of our organization. And this is at the very center of how we approach working life. And this could be through formal structures like processes, policies, procedures, but also if we reach enough people, it becomes the new way we do things around here. Malcolm Gladwell said in The Tipping Point, if you reach the critical mass, it becomes the new normal. And our job is to ensure that we reach the critical mass with our messages around positive well-being and how we can support each other to create that culture of well-being. And the last E of our 7 E's framework is to evaluate. How do we know we're doing a good job? How do we know this is making a difference? How do we know that it's been worth us investing the time, effort, energy, and maybe even money in this process if it doesn't bring about positive, tangible business benefit? And this is why evaluating is so important. Evaluating the cultural and commercial benefit. What is the positive business impact it's had? How has it been received? And what information do we have that allows us to measure progress? So this is my call to action to all of you. If any of the points I've raised today have piqued your interest, if you feel drawn to some of the things that we're sharing, I implore you, reach out, find out more about our Mental Health Champions program. We've got people that have joined this program, volunteered to be a part of our global Mental Health Champions community, stretching from New Zealand to the West Coast of America and everywhere in between those 2 points. We've got cohorts now running in the Americas, in Europe, in Asia Pacific. And the success of this program rests on the shoulders of wonderful people like you. Those of you that have taken the time to watch this video, to understand why wellbeing is important and would like to support us in driving this journey forward and to achieve our goal of having a critical mass of mental health champions around the world, of hitting that magic number of 5,000 champions. That will be that first line of support, will be the listening ears, the friendly shoulders that people can turn to have that conversation, to get that immediate support, and then be signposted onto the most appropriate resources that are available to you in your regions. In addition to that, we've got a number of different programs to support you in building your personal resilience, like the Excelling Under Pressure program, which is an interactive workshop designed to build self-awareness, practical exercises, tools and techniques, but also to come up with an action plan. It's not just a one-off, spend a couple of hours in a session and then go back to your lives, but actually, how do you start to plan for success? It takes 21 to 28 days for a human being to form a new habit or develop a new behavior pattern. How can we hold each other accountable and support each other through that process of change? So I'm here to invite you to reach out. If you've got any questions, any queries you'd like to understand more, or even if you'd like to give us some feedback about some of the messages we've shared with you today, you can get in touch with us through our websites, www.wellbeing.work, through our charitable website, which is www.stress.org.uk. You can drop us an email, support@stress.org.uk. You can also reach out to our wonderful colleagues within Philips, the Global Health and Safety team. You can reach out to Sandra Van Eder and Melissa Garabedian. But also we have our global wellbeing lead, which is Claire Gower. So there's lots of ways for you to reach out and engage with us, interact with us, find out more about the Mental Health Champions programs or any other work that we're doing. We find ourselves living in a highly individualistic society. The antidote to that is to create community. And our job is to work with you and support you to build a community within Philips that wellbeing sits at the very center of, where we're celebrating and supporting each other to be the best versions of ourselves. where health, productivity, performance, camaraderie is maximized. And that's why the work we're doing is so important. But this work can only succeed with your support and your input. So any of you that are watching this video, I invite you, I implore you to reach out, ask questions, get involved, give us your feedback, let us know how best we can support you. And collectively, we can drive forward positive change. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today, and we look forward to seeing you in a future session.